One of the smartest guys who've ever lived on this planet once said that the eighth wonder on this planet is compounding interest. And so for quite a while I was thinking about it, and I didn't really understand what did he mean. And I was like, thinking that, compounded interest. And I was like thinking that, if I'm keeping my money for 1 year, that with 10%, that will be if my initial invested amount was $1,000, it will be $1,100 after a year, and after 2 years it will. So basically the base number will not only be not only my 1,000 will be compounded, but my 1,100 will be compounded, which will be 1,210 by the second year, and by the third year it will be 1,331, and so on and so forth. And so if you can see, those little things did add up. So in the very beginning it was 20, and after that it became 31, and so on and so forth. So basically that little thing at the end is just compounding and compounding and compounding. So after a while, if you're doing the calculations, that thing after 10 years, if it will continue to compound at this rate, then it will be, if my math is not wrong, 7 figures. And the point over here is that we just simply have the same amount. And so this is a super powerful effect, and I wouldn't like to get so caught up with the math part of this, but I wanted to talk about this in regards to the principle. And so before I really got on this journey of Nofap, I didn't really understand these fundamentals and these principles. And so before that, I thought that the more things I'm doing and the more things I'm invested in, so for example, hey man, I'm starting a new business every single year. Not every single year, excuse me man, every single month. Starting something new every single time, every single week. I thought that the more things I'm doing, the more I'm eventually growing in life. So for example, the more friends I do have, the better it for me. The more parties I'm attending to, the better it will be. The more things I'm involved into, DJing, hosting parties, talking with many people, starting all these kind of businesses, the better I will become. The more instruments I'm playing, the more things I can do with. Back then I was producing a lot of music with FL Studio, and so on and so forth. And so there happened a huge switch in my life, because all of a sudden there were a few days when I woke up, super hangover after a party, and I was like, man. And this eventually happened after a particular party. I was like, basically, I've been organizing. So basically, we've been organizing a huge party. I mean, not huge, but a nice party, around 100 attendees. And basically, by the end of the party, I've done the math wrong, and not only that, I put in all of my work to do the hosting, to get the hosting, to organize everything, to do all this shit. But by the end of the day, I basically got out of this whole thing in a huge minus. And not only that, but I also got drunk and I got hangover, and this was basically a huge no experience for me. So basically that was the day when I decided that I have to take control of my life, because my attention was spread towards too many directions. I wanted to host parties, I wanted to DJ, I wanted to start a business, I wanted to do all these things, and yes, I've been doing all these things. And so I really have to decide what the freaking hell do I want to do with this, because I'm doing everything, and all those things are quite good and okay, but I'm not good at any of those things, in any of those things. And so what have happened is that I really not necessarily super consciously made this decision, but pretty much eliminated all the other decisions of not being an entrepreneur. So basically I became an entrepreneur. I pretty much took on this journey of becoming an entrepreneur, And so with this came this lifestyle of monk mode, which basically I forced myself, I would say, rather challenged myself to eventually cut out as many things as I can and become as minimalistic as I humanly possibly can. And so this is what have happened with me basically since, I think that more than 2 years I didn't buy any clothes. I'm pretty much wearing the same shit all the time. I'm pretty much eating the same shit all the time. I have variations, but I'm not really thinking about like what are the new types of food that I can bring into my diet. And I'm pretty much doing the same shit all the time. And so, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I have 5 core activities throughout every single day that I'm now at this very moment I'm not focusing on them, but I'm doing them despite of whatever happens throughout my days, which is working out, shooting a video, meditation, and reading, and also there is the singing with my guitar. So and coming back to the main idea, the main principle over here, which will be compounded interest, I just got to realize that life for me is not that super excited at this very moment. So I clearly remember when I was back then, life was like so excited, and I was like so enthusiastic about these new things that I've been starting, and I was like enthusiastic all the time. It's like with this huge energy and this huge emotion that, hey man, I'm starting a new craft, a new endeavor today. And so nowadays that thing is not that huge. That thing is not that huge. On the other hand, my consistency and sticking with those things became damn great, like super huge. So for example, I can tell that throughout the last 1 year I didn't really have, or I cannot really recall a day when I was skipping singing. So I didn't really have one day passed without me singing at least 10 minutes. Playing the guitar was, yeah, I got some periods when I couldn't play the guitar, but singing, I was singing pretty much every single, at least 10 minutes, but more like 30 minutes every day. And so since that, I just got to realize that now when I'm singing, I'm not struggling with the voices. I don't have to really think about that thing. Most of the times I'm just jamming, you know, like freestyling, rhyming, jamming, singing. This is my thing. And so what I got to realize is that I just got better. You know, like I'm just getting better. You know, it's like I don't have to think about that. I don't have to really think like how should I'm just doing this thing. I just became like a lifer in that shit. And the other thing is running and working out. For example, today morning too, I felt like, man, like I'm a bit tired and a bit like dizzy and all that shit. You know, I slept not necessarily. I slept less than 8 hours. And hell knows, maybe I do not even need that. Perhaps I don't need the 8 hours. And I was like, man, like I'm a bit sluggish. You know, yesterday I've been killing myself in the gym too. And I was like, man, I gotta come out here. And so throughout this running session, I just got to realize that, man, if I'm doing these things for a long enough time, like nothing can stop me to get to my dreams and get to my goals. And I wanted to share this principle with you because I also woke up with a huge anxiety inside of myself that, hey man, now that I'm pursuing this endeavor that I've been setting up for myself more than 1.5 years ago to build up a marketing agency, is now really becoming a reality for me, because basically my goal for this was to understand the basics of, so in the very beginning, to be able to just simply generate the leads with the Google ads and with the Facebook ads, and after that to be able to sell it, and obviously to pick a niche. And the second part was to dive deep into that niche so therefore I can understand my target audience, so therefore I can sell to them, because basically I'm one of them. So I just wanted to become one of those business owners so therefore I can understand the freaking struggles that are happening out there. And so what I've got to realize is that now I've gone through phase 1, I can generate leads with basically Google and Facebook, quite much quality leads. The leads are not necessarily quality, but I do have the system to filter them and qualify them. And so now I also been able to go through the phase of getting into that business. And so basically my niche was bathroom remodels, home remodels, kitchen remodels. So this is basically the remodeling space. And so I was like, man, now I can really switch back to my shit and start selling again to these business owners. And nowadays I started to pick up the phone and started to set up my very first appointments with US business owners to really start talking about it and really honestly figure out that product for them, so therefore I can sell the thing for them. And so what I've got to realize is that I got this huge anxiety inside of myself. Man, like, what if I'm failing? What if I'm getting, what if this shit will not happen, and so on and so forth. And so now this great serenity just simply came inside of me, and I was like, man, if you're doing that thing for long enough, then it would be it would be unreasonable for me to not to get there. And this idea is also borrowed from Alex Hormozy, whom I hugely admire. And I just really understood the effect of compounding interest, because now that I'm doing that thing every single day, I will be getting there. So and I've been boiling down the math. Okay, so brother, so what is the goal? By March 2024, have 50 clients. How to get 50 clients? Super simple. I have 52 weeks till that. So basically my goal is supposed to be able to bring in or land one client a month. To be able to land one client a month, a week. And so if I'm able to land one client a week, then I'll be at 50 clients by that time. And this is not unreasonable. To land one client a week is not so unreasonable. And if you've ever been worked or heard any sales statistics, that is not unreasonable. And even more so because I really know my target audience, and I've been making these calls, and my 1.5 year I've been spending in this industry, so I really know the lingo. I know all the shit. Like, I pretty much know all the shit. Like, there are very few new things that I didn't meet yet. And so I'm like, man, like, if I'm closing only, suppose that if I'm closing only 10%, like only 1 out of 10 people will be saying to me, yes bro, let's start this shit, I'll have to set up appointments. And so suppose that I've been able to set up 10 appointments, and out of those 10 appointments only 1 will be telling to me yes. So how can I set up those 10 appointments? Super simple. I'll have to do 2-3 hours of calling every single day. I'll be able to set up 10 appointments. Out of those 10 appointments, I'll be able to close 1. Worst case scenario. I mean, I do not have the math yet, but this is something how it looks like. And these are not unreasonable numbers. These are freaking rookie numbers, brother. And so I was like, man, if I'm doing that shit long enough, then I'll be getting there. And the same thing with working out. It's like, if I'm doing this thing long enough, then I can get to anywhere where I want to get to. And so this is a principle that I wanted to talk to you, because we just got this tendency to rush into new things, to get emotional because some bad shit is happening, prompting us to change up our lives all the time, just new directions. And this way we are killing the 8th wonder of the earth, which is compounding interest. Because if you're sticking with that one shit, then we can become phenomenal at that shit after 10 years maybe, or 20 years, or after a lifetime. But we are just somehow switching industries and switching goals and switching our lives because we just simply cannot stick with that shit. Because we think that if we are doing something new, then that would be life-changing. And maybe that could be life-changing. But at the end of the day, isn't it that you are the same person and you are just simply trying to provide value from the... Basically, there are 1,000 opportunities out there in which you could be prospering at. You are picking one and you're just simply providing as much value over there as you humanly possibly can. And that's it. And you will have to understand that opportunities are all the time there. And the actual, perhaps the greatest power is to say no. And this is sticking with shit is one of the perhaps greatest principle that we can have to live by. And so this is... Whether you believe it or not, this shit is coming from Nofap and working out every single day. And this is the place where I've been learning how to fucking stick with something, despite I do not feel like it, despite I'm not thinking like that. Just simply stick with something just for the case for learn how to stick with something. And so One of the most valuable lessons. Maybe I'm not able to show up my certificate or diploma, but something have been forming inside of me, because now I know how it looks like to become good at something, to be able to stick with something, which is hard. Brothers and sisters, all of my love, use that principle, bro. Let it compound. Use time for yourself, not against yourself. Love.